This is the Parent Portal Show.
You've seen prices rise from the dinner table to the pump, but Allstate agents are seeing ways to save you money on insurance. From starting a new policy to bundling coverage or even driving safely, Allstate agents know how to maximize your savings. They'll share their knowledge as they help you personalize your coverage. Because when it comes to seeing all the ways to save, Allstate agents do it best.
Mike Hammer has over 35 years as an Austin area Allstate agent. Call 512-343-6994 or visit mikehammer@allstate.com.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
All right, welcome to the Parent Portal Show. James, we're going to get started. We're going to do a live feed. We're just going to go with it. I say a live feed. We're going to do a recording that we're just going to run and talk and have a great day and just enjoy the conversation. There's too much behind the scenes that's been going on that I feel like we've been missing. And in my view, this is a great way to just kind of catch some of the best conversations that we've had. I just feel like we go back and forth a lot and it just never makes the final edit. So that's my goal. I want to just make sure and have fun today. What do you think?
Man, that's incredible. I think some of our best moments happen when we're pretty raw, and we are able to just be real with each other,
real and honest, and I think that it gives a little more insight to some of the things that we want to do. So you gave me a great list today. I did look through some of the things that we're going to talk about. Appreciate you again doing that homework and making sure that we had some great topics to bring up. Boy, it is, it just every week I seem to say to you, man, it's gotten crazier and wilder with NIL. And guess what? It's gotten crazier and wilder with NIL. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it has absolutely. I used to hear this talk show that I listened to. There's a guy named Art Bell, and he had this late night TV or late night radio show, and I actually used to listen to it to go to sleep. But he had this segment called The Quickening, and it was like what he was talking about was like how things just seem to be moving faster and faster, and it was exponential in the way he was talking. It feels like the quickening here. I mean, it's like the last week we were talking about something that is outdated already this week, and that's how crazy the world of NIL really is. I mean, the predictable part about NIL, I've come to feel, is the unpredictable part of it.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah. Well, and we're really starting to see some, disparity, I think, in the CFP or CFB, I guess, college football, what are we calling it? CFB, whatever it is.
CFP. College
CFP.
Football Playoffs.
There you go. Well, and just with the college football in and of itself, so the big programs are getting stronger and bigger. They are being able to use the portal, the transfer portal, as a way to bring kids in. And it's, NIL is becoming a slush fund. I mean, honestly, between you and I thought about this a little bit, kind of prepping for the show today. And what I realized, and I kind of reached the conclusion, is there's so much money that's sitting, just waiting for the right kid to come along. And, Texas has kind of that unlimited checkbook, and there's about 5 programs that operate that way. USC is another one of them. And when the right kid comes along, the money appears. And the challenge is we've tried to claim it's for a job. There's the money is being paid for these college kids because they're working. And so that's, where it's going, but it's under the guise of marketing. And look, I know a lot of marketing directors that kind of kept their job because of the voodoo that they would talk about with their numbers and stats and things. And I feel that's the same thing going on with a lot of the kid payments. We're really paying kids right now to come play at different schools. We've gotten back to exactly what the NCAA never wanted to have happen, and it's happening.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack there because there is a lot of disparity. I mean, some of the things that have come out over the past 6 months and to a year is that NIL isn't always the same for everybody. And if you're looking for equity in this, there's a lot more have-nots than there are haves. And that was true before NIL. And I think the thing that stands out for me is that the average NIL deal for 83%, and I use that number because they feel like there's 17% of NIL deals that are out there that are bigger, if you will. But 83% of the NIL deals that are out there are largely, below $100. And if you look at that and you say, wow, that's a lot different than what, Cam Rising's looking at. And that's a lot different than Arch Manning, who hasn't even taken a snap, is looking at. And
right.
I get that, and for me on my side of that is that, man, it's about performance at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I mean, whether it's performing to be able the way you throw a football, or maybe it's performing in how you market yourself. Because I mean, I said Cam Rising, he hadn't taken a snap this year, not one. And he's getting paid. And it's based on his history, but it's also based on his brand that he's been able to go out and build. And, the people that'll point and say, well, that's not fair, that's not equitable with everything else. What's stopping you from doing that? What's stopping you from getting better? What's stopping you from going out and building your brand? Nothing. You are the one that looks at yourself in the mirror. And, these are bigger questions around how people approach the, hey, pick me, and the ones that are not saying, hey, pick me, I'm out working so that you have to pick me. I think that's just kind of true, especially in sport. You see it all the time where you'll have somebody that feels like, hey, my kiddo didn't get enough time playing. And
Right.
I hear you. You got to, we as parents, communities, it's our charge to make sure that we're doing everything to help our kids excel in whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit of a sidetrack for me, but I think that's where it goes. I think that's where we go with NIL. And you look at all the craziness, those people that are the haves right now, it's because they're busting their ass to go out and be the best that they can be. And they're being rewarded for it.
Hey, you just changed your ratings from PG to to
yeah.
more
Sorry
than
about
PG.
that.
No, that's all right.
PG-13.
We're honest. Hey, it's parents. We're going with parents, right? So hey, so you said the word performance, and that's where it gets challenging, right? Because you and I both know that when a kid gets signed to a college, whatever that agreement is, whether we're talking NIL or even just a scholarship, it is expected performance, right? And it's how well that kid will perform once they get there. But the money's already there. The money already comes on the table nowadays. And even with the scholarships, the money's were already there, right? I remember when my buddy Roy Dunn played for SMU and he got a 4-year ride, just as just about everyone back in those days got a 4-year ride. And if you got injured or if you, didn't make the team, your 4-year contract was pretty much guaranteed. Your scholarship was there waiting for you. And that was the way it used to be done. Nowadays, it's a little more interesting. And what happens? What happens when that performance isn't there? We're not quite to that point where we hear about that big example of a kid who a university walks away from. And it's going to happen. It is going to happen. You know, we saw Deion Sanders kick a lot of kids off a team that honestly they had made the team. You know what the heck? So they got released, and Sanders kind of cleared ship, let them jump ship. It'd be interesting to kind of see how that all worked, because kids at that point were committed to going to Colorado, and how could he clear that out without some kind of expectation or agreement? And I bet there was some behind the scenes money or agreements or scholarships that were still fulfilled, even though they still weren't playing on the team. So interesting way for us to approach that.
Yeah, and you talk about that, and I mean, it gets back to the argument that's right in front of us: is, are they employees or are they students?
Yeah.
And what does that mean for mom and dad that are sitting at home saying, "Hey, my kid's being recruited by this school." If I was a mom and dad that my kid signed a letter of an intent and committed to Colorado, man, I would be sideways furious about it, because it's like, maybe my son doesn't fit your profile, whatever that is, of what you want your athlete to be. He still has an agreement, and I would look at that as an agreement.
This is the Parent Portal Show.